option for the future of the industry. Social media will save the recruiting industry. Now, let us explain why. My name is Marissa Gonzalez, and I am the social media manager for CareerArc. If you watched before, you know I'm usually the behind the scenes queen, as Bryant always says. But today, I'm excited to be your co host and have a bit of a switch up. I'll be interviewing our host, Bryant Chase, our director of social media, who has over 10 years of social media experience in a multitude of different industries. Before we begin, we'd love to hear where you're joining us from. I'm joining from a very chilly and rainy day in Houston, Texas. Bryant, thanks for joining. And now, how does it feel to be in the interview seat?
It feels good. I'm excited to be here. Heaven knows I have a lot to talk about, a lot to say. And normally these are for people who have a lot to say for different reasons, but we've been trying to introduce our own staff and let you know how their personal lives impact their professional lives here at CareerArc and how that ultimately benefits the recruiting industry as a whole. And we're transitioning towards the end of this season of Help Wanted. And I've been speaking out to new people to come on next season who are outside of CareerArc that are experts in special fields that would be relevant to recruiters. And I'm so excited about that. So this is kind of giving a little bit of a jump off point for what's next in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see who will also be on the Help Wanted series in the future.
Yeah.
And I know that we've talked a lot about how recruiters and candidates think about social media and how social can be used for recruiters and candidates. So can you share your thoughts on that, specifically for the recruiter's perspective?
So listen, recruiters have so much going on. And from a recruiter's perspective, they have a million different responsibilities with varying weights and pressures and importance. And they're struggling with outdated tech a lot of the time and a really structured process that maybe needs to be structured in a new way. They're definitely not social media experts. And the really good ones have marketing support or support from an HR marketing specialist team, which is like top tier, so lovely to have, but we recognize that a lot of people don't have that. And the other thing is that they're rarely posting on social and half the time. And if they are, sometimes they're not doing it well. And that feeling of like, ooh, I'm not doing this right can keep them from doing it ever again. So then I also think about the candidate perspective. I mean, candidates have been laid off or they've quit or they were fired. Let's be honest, they're out there too. And we don't need to jump to conclusions that they're a bad hire for the future. Or they want to get away from their current job or 100 other reasons. So that's, a really big thing that's on their plate too. So I don't know. It's just, there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, especially right now with all the layoffs in the tech industry too. I mean, before that, with the pandemic, I mean, I personally got laid off during the pandemic and got hired during a pandemic too, which is super interesting.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, super happy to be here. But yeah, so I guess now we can dive deep into also, let's talk about how candidates actually look for a job.
So this is interesting. And candidates today are different than candidates of the past. And the opportunities that we have to find jobs are new. But the one thing that hasn't changed is that candidates look for a job with frustration. Finding a job is a full-time job. And your boss is meaner when you're unemployed than any boss that you've ever had otherwise, because your boss is the anxiety of impending bills and a life change that you don't want to have. So they get frustrated. And the other thing they do is that that anxiety can be overwhelming looking for a job. And so a lot of times people will binge watch TV. And the thing is that while they're binge watching TV, they're also death scrolling on social media on their phones. So they might be watching the show, but they're not totally invested. And then they're on their phones. They're not totally invested either. So they're scrolling on social media. And because that's literally the pastime of the generation. But the smart ones know that they need to follow recruiters on LinkedIn and Twitter, or follow the careers pages of companies that they actually want to work for, even if they don't have jobs ready for them yet, because then they'll see when jobs come up in their feed when they get notifications. So the ones that are really obsessed with your account will follow the primary channels on social too. So this way, when they're death scrolling on Twitter, but get a notification that Rebecca the recruiter just posted a job, they'll check it out, and it snaps them out of their kind of social media madness and into work mode again, because it's so helpful on so many levels for me to be looking at dumb stuff on social media, because heaven knows we all do it, and
Oh,
then
for
see
sure.
something that's actually relevant for the betterment of my future. I'm going to be like, oof, I probably should be doing something productive. I snap out of it. I go to that application process, and I feel good about my day. And I have had more success doing that than anything else. Like, social recruiting allows you to get in front of your target candidates, including the ones you didn't even know you were supposed to target. So active and passive, and you fill your funnel just by being in front of them and let them come to you. So I just think it's so cool.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know I've both been a passive and active candidate, and I do follow some of like my top, or I follow pretty much probably all of my top companies on all social, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I also do follow recruiters as well. And I really would like to emphasize that having the like clicking on the little bell to be notified is really such a game changer. Because, I mean, as a candidate in the past, I remember also feeling overwhelmed whenever I would see, let's say, 1,000 candidates have applied for this position.
Yeah.
So having that notification bell when a recruiter posts a job, you are able to get in front of that as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the power of social is crazy. And I mean, let's also go back to how recruiters are not social media experts, nor should they be. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So a lot of recruiters are probably watching this and thinking like, oh, great. So now we're supposed to be social media experts too. Like, I don't have enough things already on my plate. And like, recruiters are not social media experts, nor should we expect that of them. Recruiters have to have so many talents. So they shouldn't have to be social media experts on top of it all. And this is a way that Career can come in and be your social media experts. You can outsource that to us. So you'll get guidance on how and why to post if you even want that. And we'll connect with your ATS and automatically get your jobs in front of candidates. That's literally like our bread and butter, is we connect to your ATS. And then when you have open roles, you can put out the frequency that they post, the volume they post, what platforms they post on. You can post them to your primary pages if you have the freedom to do that, on your career specific social pages. And you can even post them on your like Twitter and LinkedIn recruiter pages, because those are all super, super valuable places to be. And the other thing is, you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds so complicated. It doesn't have to be. You can start small. So even just a basic text-centric social media post without any images can be really valuable for job seekers. So if you're starting small, and if and when you can add more optimized elements, you can also do that too. We have guidance in the blog for that. Your client success team will help you with that. Our own content pushing out will help you with that. So it kind of allows you to level up when you're ready, which I know is also scary, because the thing is, though, is that our entire team is made of people, and that's what Help Wanted has been about. Our entire team is made of people who are passionate about giving you and your candidates a freaking break. So one of the things that we talk about too is in this series is how your personal life impacts your professional life. So my personal life, my academic background has nothing to do with social media, but I've been in social media for around 10 years now, and I love it because we can contribute. Social media can be a really negative place, or it can be a really positive place. And things like this, job posts on social media, candidate like content on social media, helps make it a more positive place. So the entire team here at Career Arc, I've recognized from a genuine core, is happy about supporting this industry and the people who are a part of it, both recruiters and candidates. And that's something really, really important, and that I love about the work that I do, is we've cultivated that atmosphere here. So we want you to start no matter how you can, and because we know the benefits of this. And then we want to take you from, a post that says hashtag we're hiring www.careers@ourcompany.com or whatever that may be, to like one that I kind of, like, this is one of our clients is Sonic Drive-In. And I said, so the number one fast food chain employees love working for, which is literally something they got voted for, is hiring in hashtag Fort Worth, Texas. And then I do a little to-go cup emoji. Sonic Drive-In is hiring an assistant general manager who can contribute to our positive work culture. Hashtag this is how we Sonic is more than you'd expect. Find out more here with a link to your post. Now that is going to grab my attention, and not just like, ooh, there's a job post, but like, ooh, there's a job post that sounds like a really good place to work. And not only am I going to apply to it, but I'm going to be excited about that application. It's going to get me motivated to want to do well there. So that's something that's really important. And it can be scary because you can think now's not the time to move forward with something like Career Arc. That like, but we allow you to automate job posts to social. And if you think now's not the time for it, that may be sort of true in some rare instances. But like, what about when your company gets bigger? What about when your industry changes? What about when your team's social acuity changes, or just the industry of job searching as a whole changes? Social media is going to change, but it's not going to go away. And I just think it's so important that we're attentive to it in a really powerful way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that in a couple of episodes before with Jordan Maison, she shared how a lot of her clients, because she's our client success manager, she shared how a lot of her clients overall are just scared of there's a lot of fear of making mistakes on social media,
Oh yeah.
saying the wrong thing, obviously. So really just we're really just trying to kind of encourage that. Just start. Really just kind of get out there and, like Bryant mentioned a little bit earlier, start small, and then eventually you can continue and create more elaborate posts. But really, if you create a post and later on think to yourself, okay, well, maybe that post wasn't that great, you can just edit it, delete it, archive it. You don't even have to delete it.
Yep.
And really just kind of like the importance of just being active on social, and is just really kind of what we're really trying to emphasize as well.
Yeah, it's funny. There are so many things that are scary about social media. I don't want to dismiss that. The good thing about what we do as well, though, is that if you can plan all that in advance, if you say, listen, I know I'm going to be hiring for a ton of, whether it's restaurant workers, or maybe it's people in the hotel industry, or maybe it is in the finance industry or nursing. I know that's a huge place right now too. Um, work with somebody else on your team who can help you understand, in advance, like, listen, if we're hiring for a bunch of these roles, what is it that they want to see from our company? Is there employer branding we can put into our job posts? Is there a more thoughtful approach or way that we can connect with audiences, their interests, and let them know that we have mutual interests in this? Is that something that we're able to do here too? And if you have 13 different captions that are generic for a specific job post that can rotate around, that's something that you can just put into Career Arc, and then it automates. So you don't have to worry that something that you're putting out there is bad because you thought of it in the moment. You plan all that out in advance, and then you just let it flow. And then, like, that's the great thing, is that's when the real experimentation begins. So if you're a recruiter and you're scared about posting on your own, that's fine and relevant, and I get that, which is why Career Arc is such a great safety net. And then once you have those job posts going out regularly, then you can start to do the stuff that recruiters are really good at. Recruiters are really good at connecting with people, at developing conversation and understanding, hey, is this person a right fit? And they understand what a right fit is. So maybe your content from that point on is just, what makes a good fit at this company. And sometimes there was something that I saw recently that said, sometimes a good fit isn't what you need at the company, but you need a good balance. So maybe what you have right now is a whole bunch of people that work really well together or have the same skill set, but what you need is like a skill set over here that'll help balance things out. So maybe you have a bunch of creatives and you need somebody who's more type A, kind of data oriented, to balance that out, and vice versa. Um, so it's fun to think about it and get creative with it, and understand that job seekers are going to be really excited about seeing that. So there's some interesting data. What I do each week is I put together a list of like major news that's happened on every social media platform, and then major news that's happened in the recruiting industry as a whole too, recruiting, talent acquisition, employer branding. And there's a whole bunch of things where tech layoffs are happening like crazy. Well, TikTok is hiring. Do you have any idea like how excited TikTok recruiters must be at all these Twitter employees and Facebook employees who they're going to be able to like snatch up, depending on non-competes. But there's also really cool infographics on which social media platforms work best for different industries. So if you're trying to reach clients on LinkedIn, or you're trying to reach candidates on LinkedIn for maybe a fast food position, like somebody who works at a fast food station, it might not be the best spot to find people who are looking for those types of jobs. You might be able to find that elsewhere. And then there's posting on your own page with relevant context that gives candidates ideas on why you're valuable. There's just so many ways to approach it. And we give you the foundation to finally take a breather and say, okay, cool, those posts are going out. They're going to start building our funnel just from the basics, and we're going to be able to level up from here throughout. And we get to level up how we want to, and we have the freedom now, the time to figure that out for ourselves. So I'm really excited about what Career Arc has been, what Career Arc is, and what Career Arc will be in the future, because we're doing this from a place of kindness to job seekers and the recruiting and the professionals in the recruiting industry, because you guys are amazing and you deserve a break. You don't deserve what's happened to you the past few years. Like, it's been crazy. And we're proud to give that to our clients and the industry as a whole. So I know we need to wrap up. We're at time.
Yeah, I was just going to add one more thing before we do leave, is that I know from me, from being a social media manager who's constantly posting on social media all day, having my posts scheduled out in advance and not having to worry about them is such a huge like weight lifted off of my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say, and it saves so much more time. And I do agree with your point also about how recruiters also have a fear of messing up or creating a post that they're just scared of. And I think a lot of that too, whenever you actually do take the time to schedule posts in advance, you kind of do eliminate that the risk of creating like any sort of kind of like mistakes that you're, instead of like writing a post in the moment.
Oh yeah.
So the scheduling feature as well is just such a game changer.
Yeah. And the fact that it pulls directly from your ATS, one of the things that Jordan's session was great. The other thing that I really loved was Taylor's Help Wanted episode was all about recruiting in the restaurant industry. And she has a great background there too. So she provided her personal perspective. There was an article that came out recently that talked about, 8 strategies for quick service and restaurant recruitment, and guide on food services recruitment during peak season. These are things that Taylor had not read those articles, but those articles are exactly what Taylor shared in our Help Wanted series. And I love that we have people like Taylor who are representative from inside Career Arc to provide that support for our clients. And I love that we have people like Jordan who can speak to that scared feeling, because the whole thing about Jordan was she was just like, yeah, recruiting's just like dirt biking. And everybody's like, yeah, because who has said that before ever in their entire lives? And then she makes a flawless comparison to the two, like
Yeah.
just mind blowing. And like kind of saying like, okay, you might fall and hurt yourself, or you might bump and bruise yourself or get a cut or a scrape or this, that, and the other, but you have protective equipment. You're wearing a helmet, you're wearing chest protection, you're wearing all these different things. And you're thoughtful about what you're doing in the moment. So what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, you just have to
It's
go out there and do it.
Yeah. And that kind of opens up a whole new space. So I do want to take a moment to say thank you to the recruiters and the job seekers who, if you happen to be watching this, I know that what recruiters and job seekers have gone through in the past few years has been tumultuous, to say the least. I want the viewers to come to me with their complaints. Like, if I can be a complaint dump, I want to know what you hate about recruiting in this industry. What about social recruiting frustrates you? And I'm going to take that in, and we're going to use that to make our platform better and to make their experience better and to make this something that's so much easier for everyone, because it shouldn't have to be this hard. So next up is William. And William Leach is going to be one of our last, maybe our last episode of the season. I'll have to look at my books. But William's perspective is so fantastic, and he'll be in the episode next week. I can't wait to share their kind of approach to social recruiting with you. And William is so charismatic and energetic and smart and funny and just like effortlessly enjoyable to talk to. And then in the new season, for season 2, we have so many cool people coming on. So we have people who are recruiting specialists. We have people who are professors in the industry. We have employer branding experts. We have people who have recruited all across the board, and from so many different angles, who are going to provide support and perspective for you to help you in your journey as a recruiter and as a talent acquisition professional in this industry. So please stay tuned. Share us your feedback. We love hearing from you. And Marissa, thank you for being an awesome host and letting me pop into the interviewee seat today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for letting me be your host and interviewing you today. I will like to also say that I will also be dropping our contact information below. I know we mentioned Jordan's episode and Taylor's, so I'll be also dropping that. And lastly, I will also be sharing we have an awesome blog that shares 11 killer social media job post examples.
Ooh.
So I will be dropping that in the link for you all to check out too. So thank you so much.
We're getting an update on that soon. So drop it now. There's really good examples now, but we've been collecting even more. So later on this week, you'll be able to see even more. So I cannot wait. Ellie and Tallulah and the team have been working really hard on that. So we're so appreciative. But
yeah, everybody, thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great week.